Hey, Rebel Rouser. I'm Alan Voivod, and this is Star Wars 7 by 7 So, here we are, August 10th, and we are 10 days into the production of Episode 9 since it started on August 1st. So, yeah, that makes counting real easy so far. And we have 497 days left until the movie premieres in theaters. So, yeah, not exactly short time just yet, but hey, it's got to move on at its own pace. And the funny thing about some of the social media updates that have come out so far is that there's sort of a theme that's been happening, and the theme has been to kind of mess with us as fans a little bit. And I don't know how intentional it is in some cases. I mean, some cases are very intentional on purpose, some cases are very intentional tongue in cheek, and some cases are not really intentional at all, and they're just getting kind of twisted out of proportion. At least that's my take on it. So let me give you examples of all of those three. First of all, John Boyega posted on his Instagram a photo of himself giving a hug to Naomi Ackie, who is the newcomer to the cast of Episode 9, and welcoming her on board. Now, he had a different hairstyle from what we're accustomed to with Finn in Episodes 7 and 8, and so everybody was like, oh, Finn's getting a new hairstyle for Episode 9. Well, here's the thing. We don't know when the photo of John Boyega hugging Naomi was taken, and so therefore we don't know that it has anything to do with his hairstyling for Episode 9. And in fact, the photo that J.J. Abrams posted about Episode 9, like if you look very carefully and you see the blurry John Boyega in the background of the shot, it doesn't exactly look like he has that same grown-out hairstyle that he has in his Instagram photo. So I wouldn't put too much stock in it. And, if you think about the male characters in Star Wars movies, unless they were making changes from Jedi Padawan to Jedi Knight to Jedi Master, there weren't really very many hairstyle changes for the male characters in the movies. So I would find it rather unlikely that John Boyega has had a hairstyle change. And, of all things, this is probably one of the least momentous, I guess you would say. A hairstyle change. Well, that's certainly important to the story. Well, who knows? Maybe it could be. Maybe there'd be a reason behind it. But my thinking on this one is that, yeah, I think that's one that was absolutely not intentional by John Boyega. I don't think he's trying to fool anyone about anything, but I think people grabbed onto it and probably made a bigger thing out of it than it actually is. And then you've got the tongue-in-cheek intentional ones, and I think we're going to see Anthony Daniels doing a lot of these. He's already starting to roll with it with his, spoiler alert, I had salmon at a dinner that he was at with J.J. Abrams and Kathleen Kennedy, among others, or spoiler alert, yesterday's filming was out of this world, and who knows what out of this world means, but he knows that he's tweaking people, and I imagine Mark Hamill is probably going to do some of the same things, and John Boyega might jump in on that too, because he certainly has played around with Mark Hamill back and forth on Twitter. So, and for the video version of this podcast, Indy, our studio manager, just walked into the shot. So that's Indy, our studio manager for Star Wars 7 by 7 just so you know. And if you are listening to this in the audio version, I guess I should tell you, and you haven't checked out the video version, then by all means do so. youtube.com/SW7x7 or facebook.com/SW7x7. You can check it out there. And then there's the intentional messing with us, and it is literally meant to mess with us, not in a negative way, not in a mean or spiteful way or anything like that, just to keep us guessing, keep us thinking, because that's kind of the sort of thing that J.J. Abrams does. He likes to give us little hints and things like that, but there's only so far you can run with them. So the photo that he posted on the day that filming began for Episode 9, it was a shot of the camera and a little monitor flipped out from it, and you could kind of see the shot in front of him, and you could also see blurred out in front of him the actual set itself. So it's the cockpit of the Millennium Falcon. We know that much. And Chewbacca is in it in the co-pilot seat where we're accustomed to seeing him. Finn is in the shot. He is behind the pilot and co-pilot and looks like he's smiling. And the pilot is somewhat obscured, and there is some discussion as to whether it's actually Rey or Poe who is in that seat. Some parallels have been drawn to Poe's costume at the end of The Last Jedi, and the suggestion that maybe it could be him. But then again, we don't necessarily know whether episode 9 is taking place immediately after The Last Jedi or if it's going to be further out, and how far out. I'm thinking it's going to be 5 to 10 years. And, I've had a couple of jackets that lasted 5 or 10 years, but I don't think it's entirely likely to see that in Star Wars. So if it is Poe, I don't think the jacket argument necessarily holds. It looks like it could be partially bare arms, which means it could be Rey. But again, we don't have to expect her to be wearing the same kind of costume in in whatever episode 9 is going to be called than she did in The Last Jedi. So first of all, there's that. Second of all, just because there's a camera pointed at the set, and just because there are actors on the set, that doesn't mean that these are the actors that are in whatever shot it was that they were filming. And Anthony Daniels, in one of his tweets, said that he was on set on August 2nd, but that he was only there to watch. He wasn't actually filming. So, for all you know, he could have walked into the set and they could have said, hey, stand back there and be blurry, and maybe he wouldn't appear in that scene at all. It just happened to be that he was on the set that day. So you really have to take the stuff that comes from J.J. Abrams and anybody else who is sharing set photos with a grain of salt, maybe like a whole salt lick, basically, because it's not going to tell you the whole picture. And in fact, it might entirely point you in the wrong direction. So maybe it's best to lay off the theory situation a little bit and maybe just kind of relax and let yourself be intrigued and maybe not run away with it. Just kind of sit and meditate with it and go, that's kind of interesting. Wow, I wonder what's going on, and not necessarily try to answer that question. Anyway, my take on 3 different ways that people are going to be messing with us on social media from inside the production of Star Wars Episode 9. And that's going to do it for this update. Over on the audio version at sw7x7.com, I'll do one last little thing about it. But for now, it just remains for me to say 2 things, actually. Go check out the audio version, sw7x7.com/iTunes, or wherever you like to listen to podcasts. And thank you for watching. May the Force be with you, wherever in the world you may be.